for today and for tomorrow, and together with Professor Goran Kraljic will guide you through the event. YENESIS project, Youth Deployment Network for Energy Sustainability in Islands, is a project financed from EEA and Norway grants, and in the first phase it will finish in 1 month. But since we had great news, we will have a prolongation, so the project will have another 1.5 years, if I'm not mistaken. So we will continue with the great work we are all doing. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Professor Goran Kraljic, who will say a few words in front of the center.
Good morning, everyone. It's nice to have you here in Zagreb, and I hope that you had your rooms cooled down last night, so you could have, let's say, a good night's sleep, and that you are fresh for these 2 days of working. It's nice to have you here in Zagreb, and I'm glad to say that International Center of Sustainable Development of Energy, Water and Environment Systems as one of the partners to help this network, and that we managed through this difficult time to ensure that the project has great results, and as we have heard now from Nicola, that the project will have continuation. Today I would like also to welcome our representatives of Ministry of Regional Development and EU funds from Croatia, also the representatives from Ministry of Environment and Energy from Greece. I also welcome a high-level political representatives from Canary Islands, and I would also welcome all you in Zagreb here. Today we will discuss about employment of young people, of opportunities, how we can attract them, and how at the end we can capitalize the results of this project, which, as I said, come as idea from Cyprus Energy Agency and consortium, but it was in the different times. Now the times and everything looks completely different, but I'm glad that we managed to survive this Corona period, which has a huge impact on our project, because the core of the project was exchange, and it was stopped, but then we found a way how to go through, so we utilize digital environment, digital technologies, and make things going on, and finally we managed also to have all these exchanges done, maybe not in a level that we were planned, but taking into account what happened, I think the results are great. So in the next period, I hope we will capitalize all the good things and improve what needs to be improved, and I hope that these 2 days you will enjoy Zagreb. I know that we don't have hospitality as people coming from the islands, as you, which is quite maybe one of the best in the world. So I know that in Ireland you have a specific attitude and towards your guests, but we welcome you and hope you will enjoy these 2 days. Thank you, and see you, and we will discuss more important things in next sessions. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Goran, for the kind words. Now we will have a few welcoming words also from the representatives of the Norwegian Embassy in Croatia. We have a short video sent by Homo Latif, which is a deputy head of mission of Norwegian delegation here in Croatia.
Dear all, I'm so sorry for not being able to be physical with you today to mark this important event. It's important for us to emphasize that we all have had very high expectations to the YENESIS project, both here in Croatia but also globally, as it serves as inspiration in many countries. This project was handpicked among 300 project proposals from all over the continent. Out of 27 projects we selected for funding, 7 of them involved Croatian organizations, and that is worth congratulating. The project YENESIS is one of those that involve a substantial number of international partners. 10 partners from 8 countries. They have all worked in the same direction, to help young people with completed education to find work. Being young, educated and unemployed is tough. However, it's even worse to be young, educated and unemployed in remote areas or in islands. Opportunities for needs on islands or remote areas are not so easy to find, especially after the pandemic. Yet there is a need to create jobs where people live, from resources found in those areas, that can create a substantial future. We know that our support made a significant impact in the areas thanks to your project. However, we know that the problem of youth unemployment is global and cannot be solved only with one project. We all have acted in synergy, and we have to act in synergy. The Youth Employment Fund is set up to find innovative solutions to an issue even economies with more resources or experience struggled for decades with. You had innovative ideas, and donor trusted that you will put the best of your knowledge and experience in making it work. However, things may not have turned out always as planned, especially with all the challenges we have faced in the past year. But with that, we are not left empty-handed. We learn what works and what does not, and from there we learn how to change the approach to better it in the future. Hoping that you all gain a lot more from the project than you gave in, we do want to use this opportunity to congratulate you all on this very successful implementation. Congratulations to everyone and thank you from us.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Małgorzata Nowak. I represent the fund operator from the EEA and Norway Grants Fund for Youth Employment. And I am honored and delighted to be here for such an important milestone for the YENESIS project, even if only via Zoom, not in person. But I see that there are many people in person in Zagreb, and I'm very happy to see that this event is such an important milestone, such an important thing for the project. The YENESIS project is a vital initiative. We already heard the congratulations, the importance of the project, the fact that it has been handpicked among very many proposals for the Fund for Youth Employment. And I
Nicola said, my name is Mishtos Kurupathi. I am a project manager of the YENESIS project in Cyprus. And I'm going to have a short presentation of what the project was about and what it achieved so far. And this image that was created in a fund operator meeting in Brussels describes pretty much how the idea came to be, how the idea was born. It talks about the need of creating something for the islands specifically. As you can see, we're talking about locations that are isolated, that have higher unemployment, they have higher impacts of climate change and environmental problems, and they also have issues such as not being able to have economies of scale because of their size. All of these create limited opportunities for young people to be employed, especially in green jobs, but in general. So it leads to a lot of brain drain and a lot of people having to migrate either to other countries or to the mainland of their country. The young people that have been trying to be employed in their islands are facing a big issue of lacking experience that leads to a lack of getting employed, and that creates a vicious cycle of not being able to find an appropriate job for their skills. And this is exacerbated in the islands because of the limited opportunities, and especially during the 2008, well, 2013 economic crisis, that a lot of more experienced people had lost their jobs, and they were able to get some of the opportunities that open up, limiting the opportunities for younger people. Because also of the issues with climate change that are exacerbated in islands, there is even a higher need for green jobs in islands. This is why we have focused our project in green jobs specifically to be able to both find employment for young people looking and also help their local communities with their struggles regarding environment and the climate change. We started the project proposal looking towards our main target group, looking to understand where they're coming from, what are their needs, what they would like to be able to be doing. Using an exercise called the empathy map, we really believe that it's important before we come to give a solution to a problem, to first understand the problem, to understand the position of the person we're trying to help, because they are indeed experts in their own needs. Young people in islands with a professional background have been experiencing this inability to obtain appropriate employment based on their skill set. They have devoted a lot of time and resources to gain this expertise, this knowledge from their studies, and they're coming back to their island with high hopes to be able to give back to their community and solve some very important everyday environmental problems, but they're not being able to give back. They have been hearing for a long time that the younger generation maybe is more lazy, they don't want to work as hard, they don't want to offer back to the community, but they don't feel that this is true. They just feel undervalued. So we wanted to be able to believe that youth can offer a lot. They care, that we can trust them with the important challenges of today and tomorrow for the islands. Finally, YENESIS was focused on sustainability. The call for the proposal itself was looking for sustainable employment, so we made sure to look at sustainability in its broader definition, taking into account both economic but also environmental and social challenges. So this is why the YENESIS project focuses on offering long-term employment to students, to unemployed youth, focusing specifically on green jobs, who are both jobs that help environmental sustainability, but also social sustainability and social cohesion and benefits. Yeah. As it was said before, we are 10 partners from 8 different countries, islands all across Europe who are the beneficiary partners, plus our partners from Norway who offer their expertise in the topic. The idea of the project was to go through different stages and create a sort of journey for everyone who participates in the target group. We had started with a research phase just to understand better the context in each island, what is being offered so far in terms of green skills, what are the needs, how many unemployed people exist. So all of this helped to create some tools and some knowledge to know how to help each specific target group. Then we took our needs, our participants, to start with their own journey through mainly learning as a first step. We have various partners who have very good expertise in many environmental topics. We selected 4 of them. That was energy efficiency, renewable energy, sustainable mobility, and sustainable tourism. So we created learning material based on these 4 topics. And we also created material on the topic of entrepreneurship because it's an important tool to tackle unemployment in locations where the employment that we demand is not yet available. So the idea was to take the participants through this week-long training around these topics, and then being able to offer them a showcasing trip in our partners in Norway to see some good practices, some startups, and trigger their interest in starting to do something back in their own country. Another step in the learning bucket, let's say, was the apprenticeship, where they had the opportunity to travel for a month-long apprenticeship in another one of the islands to work on their topic, gain experience, and also see how things are done in another country. That was supposed to lead to the application phase, where they would return back to their own country and have a 6-month-long local placement, working on local challenges. This is the step where they are able to offer back to their community what they really needed to do. And this was done with both technical and entrepreneurship mentoring by the technical partners and the entrepreneurship experts in order to help them to transition in this work environment a bit more smoothly, but also if they have an idea for their own startup, to be able to put it into fruition. And now we are in the final stage of this first Yenesis, let's say, the capitalization phase, where we're trying to, through policy recommendations and through these events, we're trying to get the impact of Yenesis to be more structured and in institutions that are able in the country and the EU level to make this a long-term venture. This is just to show that in reality what happened, mainly due to COVID, but it was actually a good thing for us to rethink, is that we were able to merge a lot of the steps and make the program more flexible for a lot of the participants who might have had some summer jobs or might have wanted to finish the program earlier so that they can try and go into further education. So we're able to condense this program and make it available for all the participants. What we have achieved so far through our project, we were able to create a guide on sustainability competences for green jobs based on our research. This guide was disseminated to more than 1,800 students. The idea here is to prevent the problem before it emerges. We want young people, students who are deciding their future, to know that these are options available for them and make a more informed decision when they're going to further education. We have trained at least 84 NEETs in all the countries through the training material. We then had the training material go online in an e-course so that more people could join the program later on. And this is a free and open course for everyone, so it can be offered by any institutions that they want to promote this in all the languages of the program. Then we had the showcasing trips that you will hear about maybe a bit more tomorrow. This was, I think, for many of the participants and ourselves that joined, it was maybe a life-changing experience. It was very unique and very deep in knowledge, and it helped bring the group together and everything that we have been doing for the past 3-4 years together in this culminating event. And this can be seen in our testimonials. We have a few dozen of testimonials from our NEETs, how the project affected their development, how this experience was important for them in their furthering their career. And you can check the website and see a bit more about how this was done for them. It's just scrolling from the website. There's plenty of them there. Okay, so what is the recognition of YENESIS and what we are doing so far? We're able to present the project to many international events, such as the World Sustainable Energy Days and the General Assembly of FEDARENE a week or two ago. We were able to present the YENESIS project as a good practice in the UN Committee for Education and Sustainable Development. And we were a finalist in the Energy Awards for the EU Energy Week for the category of youth. This is just a quote from a participant who took place in the project. She stated that there is no way I can make someone comprehend the abundance of wisdom, knowledge, and light I've been receiving while I'm participating in the YENESIS project, a program valuable not only because of the insightful information we are learning, but also because of the people behind it. And this is very heartwarming for us to hear because we put a lot of love in this project, and we will be putting more of that in the next year and a half. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mirto, for the kind presentation. Since we have a few minutes left before the panel, do we have any questions for the Mirto or anyone else about the project in the room? Okay, if not, then just a couple of general information. Maybe since it's really hot, as we mentioned, we have refreshments placed everywhere around the room. So at any point, if you feel the need, to take some refreshments, just stand up and please do. Also, for the audience online, if there are any questions online, just type them in the chat and we will read them at any point available, especially for the panel. If we don't have any questions, then we will just make a short break of a couple of minutes before the panel so that the hotel staff can arrange the chairs in a panel way. So we will have everything prepared. So you have a couple of minutes to take refreshments if you want, and we are back in 5, okay? Thank you.
Okay, once again, good morning if you just arrived. Here we have a big panel and we have very important people here with quite amazing CVs. So if I start to introduce one by one, it will take us all this time. So I will just make a short introduction, which will follow by the question to the person that I will introduce. So if you find it like this. And then after the, let's say, maybe first row of the questions, but it's not strict rule. So you can comment if you find something interesting or want to sub-question, please ask. So this is open panel, open discussion on policy on sustainability and employment on EU islands. So we need to make some conclusions that we can further use either in our everyday job or in the project in this next 1.5 year. So as I said, good morning everyone, and now I would like to introduce my first speaker, Ms. Iva Mesic from Directorate of Islands from the Ministry of Regional Funds EU from Croatia. Hello, welcome. I'm glad that we have young people in ministries, which means that young people can really change the world. So you can see we can start from here. But Iva, for Croatia and from the ministry, islands are quite important, and we can see you are coming from Directorate for Island. You know, as we have lots of islands, but 50 are populated. They need help, and they are our pearls of our sea, how we call to like them, how we like to call them. But then we also must show these pearls. We don't need to wear them in special occasions, but we need to make them, you know, show them all the time, and maybe have a special rule here. So let's say in view of ministry, we don't have just directorate. We have law on the island, which also have many bylaws that try to improve the life of on the islands. And one of these bylaws is setting the index for development of island for the projects on islands. So can you comment on this? Are there any improvements of this database? Is it established? Are you collecting the data? What are now things how we can move further for this? So
Yes, hello everyone. In November of 2021, the rule book actually on the island development indicators has been adopted in Croatia. So, but the specific and concrete indicators for island development are yet to be defined in a special study, which we will start making very soon. Yes, and the island development indicators represent a lot of difficulties. Of life on the islands, because there are not so many of them that are being collected on the level of on the island level, which also has been recognized as a problem during the making of National Island Development Plan for Croatia. One of the strategic documents for period of 2021 till 2027. We think that this document, the National Island Development Plan, will represent the need to establish these island development indicators, and especially youth youth employment in green fields. So we believe that with that being said, the island development when defining island development indicators, we will definitely take youth unemployment into consideration. So yes.
that's glad to hear. Yeah.
Yes.
So, and as we at university like to say, if you don't measure, you cannot improve the things that you don't measure. So it's hard to improve them. Okay, you can, but it's hard. As not just taking into account this indicator, but there are also, I think, Directorate for Islands and Ministry of Regional Development, the EU funds are investing now quite a lot of funds in the development of islands. So are there opportunities, or are there particular programs that are aiming on the employment of youth, or maybe how to get high educated youth on the island, or any youth with younger people with any skills that are helpful on the islands? Are there? Are you aware of some of these programs, or they are still in the processing of making of this program?
Yes, so it is just like general speaking, but one of the a couple of important programs that are connected with the youth employment on a national level from Directorate for Islands and Ministry are, for example, Croatian Island Product. It is a program that ensures island producers to make an island to make products that are made from island raw materials, and they could place it on the market. And it is maybe in some way it encourages younger people to stay on the island, especially the ones that they want to preserve the island's tradition and culture and I don't know other things. But also one of the most, I mean, maybe not most important, but one of the really important programs also is the grant state aid that ministry in the way they support the island employers, giving the financial support once a year so the employees that are mainly on the islands stay on the islands and have preserve a job at least 12 months without any interruption. So it is not basically like it is not really not just for younger population, but for all in general. It can open a lot of possibilities. And with that being said, with the EU funds, we believe in the new financial perspective, 21-27, the new operational programs are being prepared on the national level. So, and one of them is ITP. It is an integrated territorial program, and it will contain a special section that is specifically intended for the implementation of targeted intervention on islands. So we believe that. And also the main focus of that program is on regional development and growth, such as, for example, islands. And we believe that establishing this program, that it will in a way preserve islands' tradition and culture. It will try to overcome with a lot of implemented projects and activities, try to overcome these specific lot of differences and barriers on the islands, because there is in this very moment there is a lot of harder like conditions of life on the islands, and even with the work, of course. And also it will try to implement a lot of activities and programs within the guidelines of smart island concept. So one of the operations that are being funded by the ITP is also one related to the topic of this project. It is energetic sufficiency on the islands. And we believe that it will, for example, upgrading in that way the public and business infrastructure, that it will attract younger people, younger population to stay on the island, and basically to maybe to grow their entrepreneurial ambitions, so they can, I don't know, found some of the businesses, or I don't know. But a lot of this will be, we think that this will be the main source for financing of implemented projects on the islands from that EU fund, EU program. And also we have a lot of other EU programs that can be connected also with the topic of this project. It is called Effective Human Resources. And it will provide a lot of measures and activities for youth employment on the islands, self-employment for younger population, and also a lot of internships for the people that are under 30 years of age. So yeah, there are a lot of possibilities.
Thank you for this detailed explanation. What is available, what will be available. So we think that now we just need to utilize people. Do you want to comment, Hugo?
Yeah, you said we can Very short. I have breaking news. 20 minutes ago.
Okay.
I
really. Yeah. I hope it's not coming from the east.
No.
Okay.
20 minutes ago.
It's from the west. Okay.
I got an email from our national employment office, and they are proposing to the employers to hire new people in the sector of green and digital, and they will get more subsidy than a regular subsidy. So 5,800 kuna per month just to employ young people. So it's not only
on the islands.
It's not only for the island,
okay,
but this is an opportunity for the island.
Okay. Thank you for sharing this. I think I would apply to this news. Yeah, it's quite great, and yeah, we can now continue with the discussion. I would like to introduce a colleague here, Gonzalo Perinvea, coming from Canary Island, which are maybe pearl of Africa, but also here in the European Union. Gonzalo was part of the government on Canary Island, Gran Canaria, as Vice Minister of Industry, Economy, Energy. Yeah, and it's now you are working as a director of quite important research institute in the Canary Islands. So now hearing this from Croatia, but general conditions in the world, we know that now the fuel prices are going up, which means that the life on islands will become more expensive. But on the other side, we have renewables that will become more competitive, and maybe now it's the time, as you showed on many of your pilot projects, on many of your demonstrations, that islands can be self-sustainable, and sustainability is important for the islands. So how you can see now, what are these opportunities, taking into account what has been already said, what we have shown, and maybe some of your experience from the YENESIS, just in a short, if you can brief.
First of all, thank you, Goran, for the introduction. Thank you, Savas, also for heading this interesting project, and also thank you for the invitation here. I'm here together with an important stakeholder, is Raúl García Brink, is head of the the energy body of the Insular Council of Gran Canaria. So, and I say I'm very happy because it's the ideal complement to what we do. We are a technology center dealing with renewables, a good friend of islands. We have the good friends of islands here for a long time, and we have been working a lot of time together. And I say that I'm very happy because it's a good complement. So he's the one who implements the policies, and we are the ones that foresee what is coming or what is going to come in any of the fields and related to sustainable development, energy, and sustainable mobility, and all the issues that we are tackling here. We want to decarbonize our economy, or the government wants to decarbonize the island's economy by 2040. It's a big opportunity, so we are expecting the creation of 8,000 jobs in less than, this is by 2030, we will have a renewable energy penetration of approximately 60%. So we are doing a lot in the Canary Islands, no? And insular authorities like the Gran Canaria Insular Council is doing a lot with very interesting projects. You will hear about them, big pump storage projects, offshore renewables, lots of things. No? And what we see in regard to YENESIS is that, well, we have had a very nice experience with YENESIS. Even because of the pandemic, the problems that appeared, we had a very interesting experience, because people young people that were about to be hosted by companies were already contracted by companies, so they could not do the placement. No? I was telling you, Goran, before about that. No? And I see lots of opportunities for young people in certain fields of the energy transition. Particularly in two fields, dealing with the self-consumption and energy communities. So you should look at these two areas, no? Because on islands where there is lack of land, it's maybe not so, it's not so possible to deploy massively renewable energies because of our environmental protection and so on. So we have to take care about the beauty and the natural heritage of the island. So we have to promote a lot distributed energy models. So the first one is the self-consumption, beginning at our own home, at a small community, and then larger energy communities, residential energy communities. And people with the profile of needs could help, because it's not an easy job. I mean, there is technology behind that, but there is a previous job to be done in order to set up, to conform these energy communities. No? And people like, or young people like needs could help a lot, because it's really, you have to get the agreement of several prosumers or consumers and producers of energy, and you don't need these previous phases. It's very high technical skills. So as we said, in the Canary Islands we are 2 million people, and we are foreseeing 8,000 employment possibilities in the next 8 years. No? And also we are promoting in the Canary Islands, and also the Insular Council of Gran Canaria, is more training. So more training in at different levels. Master's degrees, also in circular economy. Raúl is promoting a very, we are engaged in a very ambitious course dealing with circular economy in isolated territories. Okay, I think this is the first one dealing with that. No? And also at the, we say formación profesional, professional training, a kind of, yeah, lower, so more for technicians, okay? So we have had experience with Genesis, but also the Insular Council of Gran Canaria has had real experience with young people being funded by the employment service of the Canary Islands. So there are lots of things going on. I think there will be a meeting in November in the second Genesis in Gran Canaria, and then we can get know more better about the initiatives but we are optimistic regarding young employment in the Canary Islands if we do the things right. No?
And you have really good examples of this and demonstrating it and sharing it with the world. Thank you, but as you said, we need to do the training to ensure this someone to have these skills. So I would like to introduce my colleague, Professor Marco Delmar, who is, as I said, he has quite a big CV, so I will not have time to introduce all of his functions, but he was Vice Dean. He also was involved in development of the study on energy efficiency and renewable energy sources, and he's promoting this green jobs, green revolution all the time. And Marco, are there opportunities, or what are now in Croatia? Can we deliver so much, let's say, young people in digital and renewable and sustainable topics? What is your opinion? How it goes? Because I know that you try to employ the people from the getting out from the high school, but also getting this that are not employed or education training just to return to get more skills. So, what is your vision, or how you can comment this?
Thank you, Goran. Goran is actually being modest. Both Goran and I are professors at the study program for energy efficiency and renewable energy sources in Šibenik. And when the conversation here has been about green technologies a lot. Of course, if you're talking about the sea and the islands, about the blue technologies which relate to the anything maritime or aquatic. And although it's an oxymoron, in my opinion, all of these things that we do on islands should be green and blue at the same time. So, and I think that's very important. And by the way, the color of the sea is the most beautiful when it's green and blue at the same time. So
this is pearls with smaragds.
So it's not a bad match.
Suffers. Okay.
So what we're trying to do in Šibenik is we're trying to bring new engineers in the areas that are very important for the development of islands. I think that fits very well with the European recovery plans and the plans to have everything sustainable and digital. And I think in this area, it's very, very important to encourage young people, young high school graduates, or those that are at the end of high school, to have the courage to go into something new. I think both of you spoke about entrepreneurship and things that can happen in islands. We need educated people to be able to implement solar technologies or maritime technologies that are not based on fossil fuels on those islands. And for a while, in a transition period, we will continue to depend on fossil fuels, but I hope that disappears very shortly. I know you agree, Goran. But I think we have to convince the rest of the world that we don't need oil, that we don't need those type of things. Even in transport technologies, it's going to be more difficult, of course, to have a fleet of ships running on electricity, running on hydrogen, or running on new type of fuels. But we have to do it. We can do it. And you mentioned the East of Europe, and there's a signal coming from the East of Europe that we have to move to new technologies rather soon. So I think we have to educate our generations of future leaders, those that will be brave enough to tackle new technologies. And I think islands are the best place for this to happen. Most of our islands can be self-sufficient energy-wise. And I think you spoke of this. Most of our, of course, they will still be connected to the grid, which gives them additional security and those type of things. But energy-wise, they can produce enough energy from solar sources and from newer technologies, including sea-bound things that we are still, you know, we only tipped the tip of the iceberg, if you will, when it comes to sea currents and wave power technology and all these other things that we can implement in the sea. So I think that's not only specific to Croatia. I think this is specific to all of the world. Certainly, I'm very happy to hear your examples from the Canary Islands. I think we have to invest in people. You know, islands are beautiful, but people are our most precious resource. And islands and people together, that's very beautiful. We come from a country where our islands have been losing population for the last, I don't know how many, probably hundreds of years. Well, maybe not hundreds, okay, you're right, probably last 50 years. And we have to change that. We are a country that's geographically Central European and also Mediterranean, and people from all over Croatia are running into Zagreb. You've seen the climate here. In the summers, it's too hot. In the winters, it's too cold. Most of the climates in the city of Šibenik, where our study program is, the climate is beautiful. You can have coffee outside in January wearing short sleeves, and there will be swans swimming around you. Because Šibenik is actually a place where freshwater and seawater meet because of the Krka-Šibenik National Park. And by the way, it is the site of one of the first alternating current systems in the world. So it was energy efficient, it's based on a renewable energy system, and it's over 130 years old. And most people don't know this, but Šibenik had electricity from Šibenik Krka power plant 1 year before Buffalo had electricity from Niagara Falls. And everybody's heard of the Niagara Falls power plant, and nobody's heard of the Krka power plant. So it has tradition. It's 130 years ago, most of the energy around that area was from hydro. Now it's probably the center of Croatia's wind production. Well, a lot of the area, coastal area or area just behind the coast is the center of this wind production. But I think we have to focus on coastal cities. We have to connect those cities with the islands because they're an ecosystem living together. So I think that's a good way to go about it, but we just need a little bravery, especially among our younger population, to take on the tasks and go into these technologies.
Marko, thank you for
a very long speech.
I hope that you will get a new hat soon in the future, like one of the ministers or something like this. But I see the role. At least if there will be minister for islands and energy, like on Canary, yeah. So. Okay, now we have this with us young people here. We have a representative of our student council from University, Ivan Pavel Boras, who is also studying at our faculty and hope he will get the knowledge for the future. But what is your opinion of the younger? I know that you are trying to give opportunity to study and work, yeah, but and maybe this is something that you will fight with the government on some budget that is allowed to, if you are studying, you are not allowed to receive so much money, because and then if you don't have so much money you cannot study, and we are back in the circle. But can you comment on this, what you heard now? Can this future generation bring this revolution? Because Marko said something that we were in Premier League 130 years ago, but we should maybe play in Premier League now, today.
Yeah, some times ago we were the first, we were the pioneers in some things in the electricity field, in the new renewable energy fields, from Nikola Tesla to the point with the Krka system, but today we are a little bit back. The young are trying. The youth in Croatia is a lot now in the STEM field. There's a lot of students on our faculties. We are a lot on in the new and renewable energy sources. But the problems for us, especially for the network on island employment, is because students don't have anywhere to work there. If we're gonna talk about first energies things, there's nowhere in Croatia mostly where there's an industry we can work. Most things in Croatia, where I'm the last year of my studies, so I'm already looking for jobs and things. And what the problem is that there's not a lot of places in Croatia where there's industry, where there is production. Most of it is basically marketing and in our fields. So for the students, would be a good idea if we could have some kind of scholarships for those that come from islands, or for people to give them scholarships if they're gonna take 3 or 5 years and work on the islands. I mean, we need to talk about two things here. That's for students and works, the tourism and the sustainable energy part. I don't know how much on the islands now is part of the sustainable energy industries. Do we have any of them? I mean, we have a lot of opportunities. Last semester I was on a field called oceanology, where I learned a lot about the Adriatic Sea and all the opportunities that we have here, from all the tides, the waves, all the energy that is basically going to waste, that's just waiting for us to be harvested. We have a lot of wind energy that we are using, and a lot of our students are in that field, but the sea is the thing that I don't see a lot of students being too much interested in, and that is a huge potential. And I think that studies in Šibenik could be a good faculty to start some studies on that field. And the thing you were talking about, students and money, tomorrow I'm with the Minister of Finances, and we are gonna make a bigger tax relief for students to work. So that's one of the opportunities too, that students will have the opportunity to work, as with the system now we can work 1 or 2 months in the summer, 1.5 probably, and that's it. After that comes the taxes. So I think that from the next week, when the law goes, that we are gonna have a lot more students working. We're gonna have students coming to the islands, but it's gonna be mostly for tourism now. And if we don't do anything, the industry on the islands, the renewable energy, is gonna still be a waste. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ivan. So we can see that tomorrow maybe we will bring the message to minister that there are opportunities on islands, there are money coming to the islands, but students need to be involved. So we need to provide them scholarships, we need to give them opportunity to work and earn their own money, or we need to provide them the loans, like they have somewhere, you know, some loans that will allow the students to really concentrate on learning, and then after they are finished, they can repay this. Thank you. So we heard policy, government, we heard the university, academia. Now we are going to the third important line in this society, which are industry and energy agencies. So I would like to introduce Savas, not just as a coordinator of this project, of this great idea, but also as director of Cyprus Energy Agency, important stakeholder in energy transition. Now we have the energy agencies for the 15 years, and we know that they are doing quite a good job in promoting renewable energies. And if your projects and the ideas have, let's say, more impact in political levels, I think now we will have less problems coming from the east, but this is another story. Savas, I know that energy agencies are a good place for work, but can you go beyond this, or can you say to us what we can expect in the future? For example, we had this renewable energy directive, we have energy efficiency directive, or directive on buildings, performance of the buildings, which introduced new skills. So what do you see, how do you see in energy comparing to this green and digital, for new policies that were mentioned, Repower EU, Fit for 55, and all other policies? Do you see these opportunities, and do we need to invest more in young population? What is your opinion on that?
So thank you, Goran. Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure of being here, seeing some good friends, but also to meet some new ones. And of course, I'm happy in the end to see the results of what we do together, and to, in the end, to say, okay, we were right, focusing on islands, focusing on the young people, and coming from an energy agency, working quite few years with other energy agencies. There are hundreds of energy agencies in Europe. Their role was crucial through the times, and now it's becoming more crucial because it's energy transition on the way. I'm happy hearing from Gonzalo that Canary Islands are pushing this work plan to achieve neutrality by 2040. Is not that far. And we have seen also some other examples pushing for energy transition because, yeah, you said Zagreb is challenging climate change and islands are better. May I disagree about islands because either with short sleeves in Cyprus we cannot survive either winter or the summer. We face challenges of climate change even worse. This is the case for Mediterranean islands in many occasions, but of course, now as an energy agency, myself and my colleagues, but also other agencies, they have to take the leadership on energy transition, meaning it's not only awareness and capacity building, it's also project facilitation, policies, stakeholders engagement, many things that we need to do, and we have a proof that those agencies are successful doing that. And being an energy agency myself, as a director, this is what I did in the end of the day. I have trusted young, educated people to join the team and bring the motivation and the knowledge and the skills that we were lacking in order to step up as an energy agency and refresh our way of thinking and give solutions to the problems that we face. So this energy transition coming with the directives and the Fit for 55 and Reinvesting EU and all these initiatives and the Green Deal say one thing, that there are many opportunities for employment in green jobs, most of them focusing on youth because the challenges that we face are pretty new, and even if transition will happen in the next 10, 20 years, 30 years, the demand of skills will change throughout the years. The demand of new solutions, okay, we know wind, we know energy storage, we know renewables, neutrality, climate neutrality will need more new things. And this is the best source to bring the new things is the youth, the new skills, the green ones, the digital, but also not only other skills that can bring these projects into reality.
Yes, thank you, Savas. We have practicing these skills, and that's why the YENESIS project was quite important, because it brings also some other dimensions like economy, entrepreneurship, etc., which are quite important, and which are many of these materials are now being used even in our lectures in Šibenik, but also here in Zagreb, etc. So thank you, Savas, for pointing this. We heard that this triple helix now, academia, government, and the industry, but I would like to go to real industry. Once I would like to introduce my colleague Damir Medved from company Ericsson Nikola Tesla. So you have a name of the company from quite innovative people that were once designing the future, and knowing that what are you doing, I'm still on the line that you are designing the future, that company that can provide the future, and also educating in some way people and giving them opportunity to get these skills. So here you are as a representative of the project in Sulaje, maximizing renewable energy penetration on EU islands. And we have here one lighthouse island which will demonstrate 3 user cases which are using PV and battery on the large scale on an island, and then you getting the best from water energy nexus with combining desalination and renewables. But also what Gonzalo said, the third use case that we should demonstrate and that you were most involved is getting energy communities, but enabling technology and platforms, digital platforms to have this energy community. So can you now say something about what you heard, and can we make this digital transition, and what are now innovation that you are looking for, or what you can say to us, because you are coming from real industry that needs to really get also commercialized solutions.
Yeah, thank you, Goran. So, as said, I would say today we are living in a world that has a really huge number of the opportunities. We are dealing with the area which is called digital energy. You know, it's interesting for the Ericsson because Ericsson is traditionally seen as kind of telco company producing 5G antennas and stuff like that. But it's interesting that also this area of melting of this telecommunication and energy is quite important for us. And that's the reason why also this Insula project is important, because what we are trying to do there is demonstrate this self-sufficiency. And self-sufficiency in an energy sense or in a water nexus sense, it's not possible if you can't, if you don't build a system that is controlling and measuring and collecting all the big data that is available, because this is the base for any kind of further optimizations we have there. Now what is interesting that during this process obviously is that the idea was to create kind of the open platform. We call this Smart Island platform, which is able to collect all the data from various number of different sensors, analyze these data, and then the results, which are the result of the analysis, are then pushed back to the municipality or to the citizens. Now the key idea is that the system should be open, so it's based on kind of open components, and therefore it's possible also to citizens to participate in the further development in kind of the urban laboratory, but not just the citizen, but also the students or the schools. So we made a specific part of the program, which is education for the schools, elementary and high schools, how to build sensors, so the components that can be attached to this platform, and how the data can be collected and then disseminated. And that's very, very important because that demonstrates that opportunities for the youth on the islands, in our case, have a huge spectrum. So it can be from installing, be a kind of installer that is installing PV photovoltaic panels on the roofs and then connecting these kind of things, to the other edge, which is dealing with the digital energy, with the blockchain technology, with the simulations and these kind of things. So really, it's a big spectrum. And what is opportunity from that digital point? You don't need a factory on Unia Island. There will be never a factory on Unia Island. But that is not, because it's a very small island. During the winter, it has around 40 inhabitants. During the summer, maybe 400. But this is not preventing that a few people from Unia are participating in any kind of complexity or any kind of any part of the project with different types of the complexity. I think it's a very, very important thing. A colleague from a young colleague said that the students are seeking for the opportunities. I would say that there is we have a different problem. There is not enough people. In my company, one of the problems, and probably many other companies, we don't have enough, we cannot find enough employees to develop all the ideas. You know? So I would say that now we are in a little bit different position, that knowledge is available. There is a huge amount of I would say, free knowledge. So basically like this one, as YENESIS project is offering. Also big companies like ours are also, through these projects, are offering this knowledge. So there is no excuse that something is not possible. Also there will be money available for employment of the young people, and this is opportunity we have to all to use. To conclude, this case from the Unia Island, I think clearly demonstrated that the self-sufficiency of the island is absolutely possible. We have the knowledge of the technologies, both the academia and the industry, because they are really different industry partners now from the, let's say, kind of company like a Conchar, which is dealing with core energy development and stuff like that, to the companies like ours, which is dealing mostly with, I would say, kind of end user experience, household profiling, and these kind of things. So I would say that this opportunity should not be missed. This is an excellent project. We have to, I would say, put more effort to educate people, but also to promote what we are doing. I think very small amount, I would say a small number of people in Croatia know what exactly we are doing in these kind of projects. Maybe we should out ourselves, go more aggressive in the public domain, make more conferences, or maybe be more active on the social networks, and to explain people that opportunities are here, the knowledge is here, and just join us, call us, and you will have this option.
Okay, thank you, Damir, for this intervention. I can agree with you that we need to put more emphasis now on dissemination of the results, but also of these opportunities that are being there. And I think that, as Marco said, a lot of young people will maybe not come to live on an island, but coming 3 to 6 months, working on this project, getting new skills, contribute to the new development of digital and green. I think this will be opportunity, and this is maybe just something that should be organized now when we have all
summer school.
Yeah, not just summer, but I will prefer more winter schools, because then people can, in summer they will look on more other things, but the winter they can dedicate really to the work. But it's quite nice place to also to be during the winter. And we can now go to the next part of our helix, which is maybe the most important. So that's why I'm asking and I'm introducing Ugo Tojic, Director of Island Development Agency from the island of Cres here in Croatia. You heard a lot of things, but you are also involved in a lot of things. You were also part of this YENESIS story, but you have many experiences from life of from islanders. So can you see opportunities now for you and maybe I mean for the island of Cres, for your agency, for development of employment there, and what are the next steps or what you can recommend from all this, what you heard and what we know?
Yeah, thank you for the invitation. So I'm coming from Cres, but we work on the archipelago, Cres and Lošinj, where Unije also is one of the smallest island. We talk about a community of about 11,000 inhabitants in total in winter time, let's say. I like to emphasize that I'm very good in STEM. I bought in '83 the first Spectrum Sinclair, but I'm an agronomist. And I like to give a different perspective to people that are mostly technicians. So a different perspective from a smaller island. When we talk about energy transition, it was mentioned here already, the change of paradigm, the prosumer. So it's not about only about technology or digital. It's first of all about social science, about psychology. And when we talk about young people, when we talk about new employees, I see in my field, of course, it is very difficult to get a technician, full-skilled technician on an island, because they have other opportunities. We cannot pay them as the industry or whatever. But we also need communication managers. We need psychologists. We need economists. So we established last year an energy cooperative. The last thing we need is an electricity engineer. No. So I would like to emphasize these aspects, not to look at the things from the silos, technological silos, but understand that this energy transition is a comprehensive thing, and that we need a multidisciplinary team to carry out this transition. This would be my major message, let's say, from our perspective from the grassroots level.
Thank you, Hugo, for pointing this out. Yes, and putting me a little bit out of my box of engineering, but that's why we also have the projects like YENESIS that can help us. And as Mirto said, there is lots of these things now online. And but you also mentioned that there is no economy of scale. So, but now we can maybe with digital revolution we can put this economy of scale and let's say make it available and introduce it to lots of things as like lectures, etc., online, which is available, but also connecting all these people. So Mirto, can you comment now as also project leader here on YENESIS, as how you see these answers, and maybe do you agree, disagree, or do you have any comments?
Hello, thank you. I did not expect this. Yeah, I'm really happy to hear, especially from the Croatian panelists, about the new opportunities that are happening already as we speak. But I really like the last point about other expertise in the sector. It's true that we, especially from energy agencies, maybe we focus a lot on the engineering part and a lot of the hard skills. But it's something that we've seen through the YENESIS project, that there is maybe also a lack of soft skills, and there is also a lack of interdisciplinary approaches, which is very important because we're talking about the energy transition, but we're talking about the just transition. We're talking about issues that affect the society deeply. So it's very good to hear that there are ideas about how we can include other disciplines, maybe not traditionally in our fields, to help in this transition. And it's true that maybe we have a lot of knowledge, a lot of expertise accumulated in our circles, but oftentimes we maybe are not able to transfer them as effectively in the general public. And if we need a rapid transition, a large-scale wave, as they call it as well, we need everyone on board, and it's very good to hear that there are being efforts being made to bring everyone in the table, not just in our technocratic circles. So.
Yeah, thank you for this intervention. Are there any questions or comments or suggestions from the public? Do you? Please, now you can join this discussion anytime you wish with any idea you want. As Mirto also explained in the beginning, we had this empathy map of the young need, not in education, employment or training. So, Marco, can we improve something that we can remove these pains and maybe give them gains, or maybe sometimes professors also cause pains to the additional pain to the students. So
we can look this from multiple perspectives. And there are very painful things out there. Climate is changing. We have to adapt to what has already happened. We have to stop further deterioration of the climate. I think the biggest problem with some of the islands, especially here in Croatia, is the change in population that we're losing. We're not only using young people on the islands, we're losing people on the islands total. But as you may have heard from my speech before, I'm a huge optimist. I think that with policy change, with environment change, with entrepreneurism, with Europe focusing on recovery and giving the biggest amounts of money ever into the sectors of green and digital, these are the opportunities. And if we don't use them now, they will go to waste. I think that technologies fighting the effects of climate change on the islands are perfect for entrepreneurial things happening on the islands. Everything that relates to solar, everything that relates to the surrounding sea, those type of technologies on a small scale can happen and can help the islands grow. with the growth of the population. And by the way, this may sound ironic, but on the islands of Cres and Lošinj, I think you said 11,000 population. If everybody Croatian moved there, so 4 million people moved to the islands of Cres and Lošinj, those two beautiful islands would still have enough resources to sustain us. I'm not suggesting that we do that, but they would have the resources to feed and home and be a beautiful home for 4 million people, not just 11,000. So we have to be careful with our resources. I mean, we have to nurture them. We have to support them to grow, and especially young people. And I'm just going to echo that one again. The biggest resource we have are our people, and we have to invest in them so they can invest in their homes, in their islands, in their countries. So I'm an optimist.
Okay, thank you, Marko, and maybe Savas want to add something, please.
Yeah, thank you, Marko. Thank you, Goran. Yeah, I'm also an optimist, but the issue I would like to raise now is the important role of the policymakers and the different stakeholders in the room, because we have seen after a few years now, as an island's partners or collaborators, we don't just drink Zivania, Rakia, Ruho, or Scotch, and we are sometimes a bit crazy. We also work together to push different kind of policies and funding mechanisms, and we have showcases so good examples that in the end attracted so much attention to the islands. And that's why we have initiatives and funding programs and so many opportunities. And now we reverse a bit the challenge. We need to respond to this attention and being successful, so we can continue advocating the importance of islands as a place to live, to work, and also a place to demonstrate as sustainable in the grand term of scheme. So it's nice also, because I respond also to the other comments, to say that awareness is important. We need to showcase what is happening in the islands. But not only, because it's an ongoing process. What we have discovered there with YENESIS 1, even if we were a bit technocrats, energy efficiency, renewables, mobility, okay, and tourism, which is more to the islands, now we see as project we need to adapt to the new challenges. So we have introduced now new thematics like climate adaptation, sustainable food production, water management, and circular economy. Those are not the only ones that we need, but it's a continuation of an ongoing process that we will see happening throughout the years until we meet our final objective.
Thank you, Savas. But for pointing this out, those are really important topics which we'll need to deal, because Marko led the gene from the battle, you know, because he said that there are many resources to move Zagreb to the islands of Cres, Lošinj, and Unije, and what we know that Zagreb cannot have a sustainable life, or he needs resources from outside. So there is huge potential on our islands that is not utilized, not just in energy, not just in food. Okay, water is scarce, but there is a sea, so when you have energy, you can have water, and then you can have food. So now we need to think how you know, this can be utilized more. You know, we can bring the energy to Zagreb easily. Just we need to put some solar and wind on our islands, and we are coming back from the island Bornholm, where circular economy is really applied. This is part of our issue. And Damir, maybe you can maybe comment. But they are now have plans to huge. Giant, let's say, offshore wind plants, 3 to 5 gigawatts, that will not be so close to island, but they want to become energy island, which then can support many, you know, cities in Europe, because it has these resources. So, can you comment on this? Maybe Damir, what are your impressions, and maybe Ugo, and then Ivan, you said you want to also comment.
Yeah, this Bornholm story is really interesting, because they have really full circular economy. You know, so everything is used from the waste from the agriculture. They have a specific energy power plant which are specifically designed for different sorts of or different types of the energy they are using or fuel they are using. But also, most important thing was that they have one company that is in the ownership of the islander, and everybody is participating. So everybody understands that whatever they are doing, it's for the benefit of the island. So there is not kind of external company that came on island and doing something, but they are owner of their development. They are heavily supported by the university from the Copenhagen, and when you see them, basically, everything is working almost perfectly. Now, for me, it was interesting that from our point of view, there are no technological obstacles. Whatever they presented to us, we understand, we know that, and what is the missing link, And I would say the missing link is this kind of political decisions that we would like to go in the same, like they are doing, I think this is kind of the missing link, and we saw that they have a really big support, and I'm seeing now that also it's coming from the Croatian government in the next period. So I don't see any reason why we cannot achieve similar level of activities like on Bornholm, And I would like also to mention that there was mentioned several times important role of NGOs, important role of citizens, important role of the citizen, energy communities, so that people understand what they are doing. And if you spend some time to explaining people, then later you don't have any problem, and especially if they have their benefits. So I think it's the way how we already are working on that. And I would say that this Bornholm can be our kind of lighthouse, our beacon, where you can see that it can be done. There are maybe 5, 6, 10 years in front of us, but we know what we have to do. So I would say that I don't see any kind of obstacles that we can achieve Bornholm style communities in maybe 5, 6 years.
Thank you, Damir. Ugo, would you like to comment or?
I can agree, but this is what I said. It is about working with the community, and in our case, is even more complicated to work with the community because the community is living very well. They have plenty of money out of tourism. So just explaining them about future, about climate changes, they don't care. So that's why I said we have difficulties to work with them, and we need also other skills, just the technical, because you said they have solved all the technical problems. So it's not a point in our case. In our case, it's point to convince. And we are going door to door, explaining people about what we would like to do. And now it's paying back. But it is a very capillary effort and a time-consuming effort to get a trigger and involve at least 5, 6 early adopters, then you can just roll the snowball ahead.
Okay, thank you, Ugo. And going back to these skills, and Ivan, who is a student of a technical faculty, but can you say, do you see students on technical faculties that are capable to acquire these skills, or you prefer to work in multidisciplinary team with colleagues from, let's say, sociology, philosophical faculty, and others to maybe even share more experience? Okay.
I mean, of course we do. Students are a lot involved. In the last time together, we are into interdisciplinarity. We are working a lot of together, and I wanted to make a comment because I'm a part of the European Student Union. One of the projects we are working on now is something called Green Erasmus, where we have the basic Erasmus, and the Erasmus is an idea that we want to look at the sustainability of traveling. What is the less CO? What do we need to avoid? What's the best for the environment? And Professor Delmar was talking about electric boats. I was on Malta on the conference from the European Student Union, and one thing that was really interesting for me was the taxis there. Every taxi was about 1 week old when I came. Most of them had already still plastics inside of them, didn't work, the covers and everything. And when I was talking with one of the drivers, they told me that the government started a new idea of taking electric cars to the island. Everybody knows that Malta is an island country, and they gave a lot of discount for them. And now, when I was looking, around 60% of the taxis on Malta were electric cars. And this gives me back to talk about a lot about politics and how to do things, how to start something. That what Hugo said, the people have enough money from tourism, so there's no need for them to start looking green, etc., etc. But I have some family on Hvar, on the island. When they started the recycling, everybody was talking trash about it, who is gonna recycle, etc., etc. Nothing about that, but 2 years later, everybody is recycling. Now they are talking trash about us in Zagreb, because why are you not recycling? The part is that people, you need just to put it in front of them. They will argue 1 year, maybe 2, but they will start doing it. I know that we cannot make, I don't know, some borba on an island here to buy an electric boat, but why don't start the politics with traffic, with, how do you call them,
Ferry boat.
That, with the ferries. Why don't make it in the next 10 years that they need to be electric, because that's the part of the politics that can take here.
Yes,
Make the travel system that's always there, that the tourists are using, that's, I think, the most polluting one, and push that to be the first thing that's gonna change, and then we can start changing people. And one thing I heard about Sava saying was 3 to 6 months and mobility, and I wanted to ask, is there any idea of maybe making a research center on one island in Croatia, one in, I don't know, maybe Cyprus, then the Canarian Islands, and making mobility and researches in that discipline? Because we are from the universities, we are more into science, to see the differences in the seas, in the how to adapt the energies, how to harvest the same energies, then how to look about the sustainability of the islands themselves. 1, 2, 3 maybe research centers, and make it. So that's one of the things that the youth can come to the research centers. 3 months in one, 3 in the second, etc., etc. We have a mobility, we have no learnings, and we have a chance of making something new. Thank you.
Okay, Savas, would you like to answer? Maybe for YENESIS 3 Research Center.
Yeah. Well, we never promised a research center, but the approach was not that different from that, because in the end, that was the reason of establishing this partnership. So we have a local partner in every location. So we took care of the interested beneficiaries to receive the training, to receive the guidance, the coaching, and at the same time all together to meet in the other islands and to meet all together in Norway. So that was the approach. After, now YENESIS 2 is bringing more capacity building and more beneficiaries into the program, which is excellent for what we aim to, but we'll continue as a partnership to exchange, to use this existing knowledge and existing network to exchange young people like you moving around and receiving expertise, and mobility programs also, and some placements. I'm totally agree with that, and I would like to be part of it. And another thing that we have established with YENESIS is a platform that it connects the potential employers and institutes with the youth that are interested in looking at what is happening out there, and we need to build on that and give more opportunities to the youth. But of course, maybe a YENESIS 3 idea is to establish these like antenna institutes in some locations, so we can take care of an area and be close to people that they wish to receive this guidance.
Yeah, I like this antenna idea, because now we don't need physically to be present somewhere, because we are in digital world, so you can immediately, tomorrow you can build virtual institute in the place. But here we have a colleague that has real institute in an island, but we also have colleague from Norway, from more and around the region. There is Runde Island, I think, with this quite nice institute. Maybe you would like to comment this opening the institute on an island, and how you can see opportunity for the cooperation, because we can...
Yeah, this is how we engage the audience.
Of course, because you know, there should be questions from the audience, but if you refuse to ask questions, we need to ask you questions. So,
am I on?
Yeah.
Can you repeat?
Runde Island and the research center on the in Møre and Romsdal region. Yeah.
Of course, even though we have some differences in challenges, we have a lot challenges in common with your regions, and I think it's really interesting to hear it from different point of views. How you what kind of challenges you have and how you face them, and how we can face these challenges in the future with a wider cooperation between your regions and our region. We can also start improving our more rural areas like the islands, or even on the mainland. We can start implement a lot of the results from the YENESIS project, how to make the societies more sustainable. And I really like this focus on the maritime sector and the marine environmental part of it. I think this is also one thing our regions are really strong at, and if we will have like an institution like you were talking about, Goran, I think I would choose something in the direction of the maritime industry and the marine environment.
Yeah, thank you. This is something that you already show us in Runde when we were there in Norway. They built a quite nice institute on shoreline, and just renting it to the researchers that want to research maritime industry. So maybe Gonzalo, you also have good results from this. So maybe you would like to start series of new network researcher centers. But as I said, first let's go virtual, because we have resources for that. But then we also need to find places where we can put antennas.
Yes, well, we offer ourselves. I agree with the focus on maritime because we are islands. I mean, speaking about islands, there is also a big effort done by the Gran Canaria Insular Council regarding that. Well, as regard ITC, so we are now 220 people, so quite a big center on an island. I think it's one of the biggest technology centers on a European island. We offer ourselves to you, so because we have a platform also for hosting people and sending people abroad, and well, I think it's a good idea maybe to think about
so
more antennas. No?
Yeah, if you are young and like wind, and they have best wind conditions just across the fence in the institute. But let's we can also be.
But we are also suffering climate change. Okay.
Yeah, so this is unfortunately the things that we will all suffer, and as Sala said, we need now to think really on adaptation, mitigation fast as we can, but we also need to think about mitigation. So, Eva, now are you thinking about maybe investing some of these funds to new research center in next 7
You
years?
never know.
Yeah, because we have some unused facilities that are owned by government or military, or even owned by nobody, or even owned by our ancestors. So, because we didn't clear the books, so you know this is something. So, can we maybe provide some place for this antenna? Let's call this research.
Maybe I think there are a lot of places on the islands, on our islands, that could maintain these antennas that you were talking about. But for example, from a governmental point of view, I think that there are a lot of possibilities because we can provide UNX, I mean the research centers, the faculties, I don't know, the local municipality and regional municipality, the access to EU funds and programs, so that could easily be managed to withdraw the funds from EU, so you can invest. It could be a possibility to create a lot of projects for implementation these antennas and lots of other. I don't know. I'm not so good. I mean, I'm not this is not my expertise for energetic sufficiency. So, but yeah, it could be in this new financial perspective, 21 till 27. There will be a lot of other opportunities to withdraw the financial support from the EU, and it could be easily transformed to another, I don't know, plans, maritime.
Yeah, so, yeah, getting young people on an island, this research institute can provide them job, but they also need to place to stay and then pay all this, let's say, utilities. But then we know that we have zero energy buildings, etc. Maybe we can also build some of the, let's say, neighborhoods or things like this that will be offered to the young people, young families that can come and work. This was popular in the industrial age, so I don't know why it's not popular anymore, you know, because they built all these neighborhoods for the purpose of getting people around some industry, providing them, you know, supermarkets, providing them cinemas, all things to live, and then people will of course come and live. If there is no medical service on the island, young people, young families, maybe, you know, because you are risk more with your children. I can here come to the hospital in 5 minutes on an island. It's not so equal. So maybe this is a way how to think, you know. As we said, we know there are some points, potentials, but if we think whole picture, then we maybe will succeed. So we need to, question, please, okay.
Hi, I'm Malene from Møre and Romsdal, the expert partner in this project. I know that you asked a bit about the Runde Environment Center just before, and the County Council is indeed involved in that work. You can look at the website to see what they are doing, but it's all about, you are talking about a lot of research and engineers and the degrees of master's degree and stuff like that, but in the YENESIS 2.0, sorry, I'm talking Norwegian. We are also supposed to focus on the soft skills. So I want to kind of challenge you a bit because it's the bottom-up effect when it comes to the change, the transition, the green transition. I want to highlight like an example from one of the showcasing when the director of Hydro Aluminium factory in my region talked that I cannot do anything about the green transition if I do not have the workers alongside me doing the work. And then we are on soft skills. We are on entrepreneurial skills. We are on the ability to adapt and change to the top regulation that comes from the politicians, from the regions. How do they perform the change that is coming? The one on the floor, doing the jobs. And that is the ones having certificates of apprenticeship, the one that comes from college and goes straight to work. So it's also that line of work that is really important to focus on. So I just want to challenge everyone to also focus on that level of education. The research, really important, but the ones doing it, it's the people on the floor doing the jobs. So I know that the soft skills that we will tackle in the next phase will be really, really important to find, to get the results and also to disseminate the results of that, I think. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always for the people, by the people, and as Hugo said, that we need a change. So, do you want to comment? Oh, okay. So now we should put this panel to the end, and if there are comments of this, so yeah, soft skills are important, and this is also something that maybe can be speed up by the digital economy, but we are fearing of losing the jobs, but we heard there are so many more jobs coming, so maybe it's not the issue. And then taking back to this soft skills, I think this is something that will be teach from the kindergarten to the all levels and going beyond, because we don't need just young people, as you said, we need old people on the board, but majority of them had some soft skills coming from the experience, life experience, but this is also something that we should work on. So please, if you want to make some final comment, you are allowed, and then we will.
Yeah, maybe just from my side, I completely agree, but I think we should start in elementary school. You know, that's exactly where is a starting point, because in elementary school you see a spark in the eyes of those kids, and that there is the moment when you are training them and when you are educating them, and then they will accept these green technologies, like they are accepting language and other things, you know. And if you start there, then there will be some success. I already, because we are also giving a lot of these lectures for the schools and having this education for them, that in the high school it's somehow lost. So we have kind of missing link between elementary school and then the university. You know, that's my personal experience. And then somehow in high school that educational, that connection disappears. So, and I would say, like in the evening, in the afternoon, I'm going to give lecture to 6 young entrepreneurs. So the industry, like is giving kind of free of charge education to them. We are listening to their ideas. And what is interesting, they're not coming from the engineering domain. So idea is to have people that are not engineers, so coming from completely different ideas, to kind of help them and educate them how eventually new technologies can help them and how they can adapt it. And I think in many industries, not just our company, but also the other companies are seeing this kind of social responsibility to help, you know, these younger people to find their position. Maybe eventually in the future they can work for us or anybody else. But if you don't help them now in this particular moment, probably, you know, it will just go down.
Thank you, Damer, and the link called between elementary school and high school, where you lose the things, is puberty, and now we are in puberty of energy transition. So I will, Daniela, can you conclude this puberty of energy transition and saying that shall we choose the going the one way or other? You know, in puberty, maybe in teenage time, you can choose and become what you are now. So please.
Yeah, sorry, just Daniele Groppi from Sapienza University, also a partner of YENESIS. And instead of talking about puberty, I wanted to say a few words on the other side, on the other hand of the perspective, because we also have a problem. We are now always talking about young people and the youth, because that's of course the focus of the project. But since the world is changing so fast, we also have a problem of training older people that have to change their skill to be able to enter the market that is changing. And so I wanted to hear, if we have 5 minutes, I don't know, maybe the different approach from the industry or university, ITC, or also the ministry if there is some fund or some idea on how to approach this problem and help these people to be ready for this change that is already happening. So, thanks.
Thank you, Daniel. The puberty was metaphoric, I hope. But do you have any opinion? So, Marco, yeah.
We certainly live in a world where every generation has to continue their education if they're to work on a competitive job. I'm sure Goran and I can give you numerous examples where our universities have been working with companies and have been working even with local communities in some educational things, especially referring, and speaking of Goran and me, that's going to focus on energy probably, but our other colleagues do that in many other sectors. So working with companies, working with local communities is very important for the transition of job skills or life skills for people of certain age. And of course, our experience is that when a new area is emerging and it's economically prosperous, then people are willing to be re-educated or to enter that area. And then, of course, if they don't see an economic outcome of that, then it's a much bigger problem. Now, we live in a times where we know that these huge amounts of money are coming from the European Union into digital and green, and we're talking 1,000 billion euros. Billion in Croatian language is 1,000 more than billion in the English language. So that's that creates a lot of confusion. It creates a lot of, so a million millions of euros are coming into that's easier way to explain it, into this sector, and I think Croatia is getting about 6.3 that's in English billion euros, in Croatian miliarda eura. Sorry, I have to translate that. It's very dangerous. If you're an academic and if you miss something by 1,000, that's a big mistake. So, but you're right. There's often an issue with people not being flexible to be re-educated, and that's again one of those things that I spoke about earlier. We have to encourage, you know, bravery is not just when you fight. Bravery is also when you adapt, when you sort of decide to change your life, and we have to show these people that being brave in that way is good for them, not bad for them. Academia is not the only people that are part of this chain. It has to come also from policymakers. It has to be a joint effort. I think that economical, technological, and political matters work best when we work together. You know, policymakers don't make good technological laws unless they get input from us. We cannot do anything without policymakers, so it has to be a joint effort, and we have to do it for the good of the community. But your point is very well taken, and I think we have to make larger steps in that direction.
Okay. Thank you, Marco, and I will make next step in autumn. I will start going to elementary school with my younger son just to get these softer skills, but it was really nice to have you all here in the panel. Thank you for being so patient audience, and at the end contributed really a lot to this discussion. Thank you very much. Now it's time for refreshments. We need the water because we will dehydrate, and so please join us at coffee break. You heard here what colleagues had to say, but this is you can approach them and ask them more questions, exchange the contacts, and we can move on. Thank you very much, and see you later. Thank you. And did we have a